Hello and welcome. My name is Marisha. Thank you for joining me. Using exclusive products from scrapbook.com, today I'm creating 2 watercolor card projects. Let's go ahead and get started. First, let's review our supplies for this project. From scrapbook.com, I'm using their heavyweight mixed media paper pad. This paper pad is 4¼ by 5½ inches and it is 15 sheets. I'm also using the Lovely Bunches floral stamp set and coordinating die. In addition to, I'm also using embossing powder. For this project in particular, I'm using clear embossing powder, but you can use whatever embossing powder you have in your stash. Gold, black, clear, the choice is yours. Using a sheet of mixed media paper, I am going to position it in my MISTI along with the stamps, and then I'm going to ink up the stamp and stamp it 3 times just to ensure I have a good impression. Then, using the clear embossing powder, I'm going to sprinkle it all over the stamped images. I'm then going to tap off the excess. I'm then going to use my heat tool to activate the powder, creating the embossed look. Now it's time for the fun part, the watercoloring part of this project. From Altenew, I am going to use their watercolor brush markers. This is the Spring Garden set. And from this set, I am going to use Spring Garden Emerald, Limeade, Rubellite, and Midnight Violet. Now, this is the second time using these watercolor brush markers. The first time I created a project from Spellbinders, and I can link that video at the end of this tutorial. Let me tell you, I enjoyed creating this project so much. It actually took me back to my childhood days. Does anyone remember the watercolor coloring books? Where basically all you needed was a wet brush, and once you touched the image with the brush, it would activate the watercolor. Oh my goodness, I can't believe I actually forgot about those books. But when I started creating these cards, I was like, okay, I remember the watercolor books from when I was little. This is what this reminds me of. I wonder if they still make those. I might have to look into it. Now, I am not a watercolor expert. I am not. I am a believer in just going for things. If I want to try new things, whether it be with Copic, colored pencils, watercoloring, whatever it is, I love to try new things. And I encourage you to do the same. I also encourage you to not get frustrated if your project doesn't turn out how you want it to. With anything, practice will help you grow and get better. That's with anything in life. So I encourage you, if you have not tried watercolor markers or watercoloring, I encourage you to do so. Try it. This was very therapeutic for me, very therapeutic. I'm definitely going to try it again. I'm interested in learning about the shading aspect. I know for this project, I used a watercolor water brush to help me with the blend of the colors. Once the watercolor is dry, I'm going to use this white brush from scrapbook.com to tap some splatter on the images, and then using my heat tool, I'm going to apply some heat to allow it to dry. Next, I'm bringing in the Sea Breeze watercolor brush along with another sheet of mixed media cardstock. I am applying the watercolor to the panel, and then I'm bringing in the watercolor water brush just to move the watercolor on the panel. I'm then going to bring in my heat tool just to push the watercolor and allow it to dry, but to also see how this panel turns out. Now, this is the part where I did some experimenting. I brought back in the watercolor water brush and I just applied water to the panel just to activate the watercolor to see what it would do. And as you see, I just picked up the panel. I'm just moving the watercolor around on the panel. Then I brought back in my heat tool and applied some heat to allow it to dry. And then I decided to bring in my spray bottle and I sprayed some water on the panel, and I love this effect. It was really cool. I really loved how this turned out. And then I allowed it to dry. And then from there, I applied some splatter using the white brush from scrapbook.com that I used earlier. Then off camera, I die cut my floral images, and I just love how these turned out. I love it. Now, I messed up the die cut on the image to the right, but that's okay. We're still going to make it work. Next, I used the nested A2 Arches die set from scrapbook.com to die cut a gold frame for one of my card projects. Next, using the smaller arch die that I used to create my frame, I'm going to use it to create a window for my card front. Then I'm going to use adhesive glue to adhere the frame around my window. Then from there, I'm going to start assembling this card. But first, I need to stack my sentiment. So using the Thank You number 3 die set from scrapbook.com, I'm going to stack 2 layers of white cardstock. And then the top layer, I am using the black mirrored cardstock from Cardstock Warehouse, but I'm going to offset it to create a shadow effect. And that's Zoe in the background. My babies are always near me, either during a voiceover or creating my projects. If you've been here for a while, you already know. After I adhered the watercolor panel to my card base, I'm now going to adhere this die cut to the back of my arch window. This die cut is from the A2 Mosaic die from scrapbook.com. To add dimension to this window, I decided to apply foam tape to the back of my window, and then I adhered the window to my card base. Next, I'm going to bring in one of the floral images that I created, and I'm going to position it on my card front along with the sentiment. Once I'm happy with the placement, I'm going to use a combination of adhesive glue and foam tape to adhere the elements to my card. And stay tuned. Once I apply a few embellishments, I'm going to show you the final result of this project. For this second project, I created this panel off camera, basically using the same steps as before. I created a watercolor background, but this time I adhered the mosaic die cut to the panel. I'm now going to bring in my A2 top folding card base, and I'm going to position the panel on the card front, and then I'm going to flip over the entire thing, and using a pen or pencil, I'm going to just mark where I need to cut the panel down to size. I'm then going to trim it down using my trimmer, and then I'm going to bring the panel back over to my card base, and there we have a nice angled panel for our card. Inspired by my first card project, I wanted to add a gold border to this one as well. So I brought in a piece of scrap gold cardstock, and I adhered the panel to the cardstock. And then using scissors, I just trimmed the panel down to size. Once I'm done, I'm going to use liquid adhesive to adhere the panel to my A2 top folding card base. Then from there, to add dimension to this card project, I'm going to add foam tape to the back of my floral images. And then I'm going to adhere the image to my card, and stay tuned for the final result. But let's take a look back at the first card project. After I adhered some gold embellishments to the center of the flowers, this card project is complete. And let's take a look at the second card project. I adhered the sentiment, and I decided to add a touch of black splatter, and then I adhered some gold embellishments to the center of a few of the flowers and greenery, making this card project complete. I want to hear from you down below in the comment section. Which one of these projects inspires you most to create? And also, I encourage you to take that leap and try something new, whether it's Copics, watercolors, whatever it is, give it a try. Thank you for joining me on today. I appreciate you as always for stopping by. I thank you in advance for subscribing, clicking the thumbs up button and the notification bell so you never miss out on new tutorials. I'm sending you love and a whole lot of hugs. Until the next crafty project, please take care.